Right, what's the next slide, Mark? Right, let's talk about recording contracts. First thing to say is they are clearly biased towards the record companies. They always have been. There's little room for negotiation, actually. You can negotiate, but you know what I saw throughout my time is people signing bad deals because they just wanted to say, I'm signed. Yeah? And for two artists, I had to negotiate exits out of agreements, actually. And it's very, once you're in, you're in. It's very, very hard to get out of. There is little room for negotiation. And it clearly favours the record company. You understand the term royalties? Yeah, you know what royalties mean? But generally, you know, I mean, there is, I put here between 10 and 20%, but it does range. It's all about negotiating. And you can try and bump up your royalty. But you know, to get any money out of royalties, you have to sell a hell of a lot of records. A hell of a lot of records. So the So Solid album went platinum, and the royalties were minimum. What's platinum? How many? 750,000? Yeah, so 750,000 albums at whatever the price was. Interesting point though. It's not the retail price. You don't get a share of the retail price. Whether, you know, for CDs $9.99, you're getting a share of the wholesale price. And bear in mind that the retailer is putting an 80% markup on. So that $9.99, 80% of that straight away is going to the retailer. So what you're getting a share of is possibly £2.
And also, if you're a big if you're an up-and-coming artist, they're going to give away half for the ones they sell. They give them away so they get wrapped in the shops.
You even pay for breakages. If CDs are damaged in the shop, you're paying for that as the artist. I mean, I've got a thing that says the artist pays for everything. So, this term recoupables. To recoup means to get back, okay? And the record company recoup on everything. The best one, from my experience, working with the So Solid Group videos, the video that I showed you at the start, that cost £600,000. You know, I was saying, why are you spending this money on videos? Because they wanted the big bling video, you know, with all the graphics and things like this. The first video not the first, because that was with Relentless. The second video that they did cost £1 million to make. Okay, but it's much more of a status thing. So straight away, out of your royalties on 750,000 times £2, you've got to pay back £1 million on your video. But other things they'll be deducted, recording costs. And I saw it happen with that lot as well. So the labels, the big labels, will offer you time in their studios. And some of these studios, I mean, the most fantastic, you know, so luxurious, and they've got restaurants in. I mean, I've been to some studios in my time. I'd like to live in them, you know. But do it on the cheap, because actually the sound quality, you know, that you're getting at the end can be just as good if you've got a good mix. If it's been mastered well, you can get very, very good quality material. There's one best studio I've been to is a place called Olympic Studios, and that had the restaurant, it had this, and it had the gym for the acts and things like that. But you pay through the nose for it. Promotional costs, tour costs, and as Ginny said, the giveaways. You know, just to get your CD out there, they're often giving things away. So before you can get any money from your royalties, from your record sales, the record company has to take all of that back. So that comes straight out. Now, you know about the concept of the advance.
Yeah, the biggest cotton ever.
Well, why'd you say that?
Well, because they offer you loads of money,
yeah,
and you go, oh, money, but in exchange for that money it's a loan, they take loads of your rights and loads of your options away, and that's how it.
The advance is also recoupable. So again, before you see a penny, you've got to get the advance. There are two views on advances. One is your view. There's another view that says the only money you're ever going to get out of a record company is your advance, so make it as big as you possibly can. And if you look back historically, what the advance was there to do, it was there for the artist to be able to live, basically. But there is a debate to be had around how big should the advance be, but my view, having seen it happen, is the only money you'll ever get out of those buggers, so make sure that it's as big as it possibly can be. They don't. A lot of the indie labels, because they had no money, they weren't giving advances. But in law, there has to be some exchange. I give you this, you give me that. So what indie labels were doing was giving you free studio time as your advance. and it was never recouped. That was the advance. But even in publishing deals as well, you can have advances. The only publishing deal that I've ever really worked on, the producer, he got $500,000 advance, and but he, you know, publishing, he won't see any. Actually, he won't see any money out of his publishing. But we'll talk about that next time. So you've got to live as artists. You've got to live, and often the only way you're going to be able to do that is through getting an advance. But I get the impression that even the days of the big advance have gone.
I think that's because, again, they come along with this whole, they want you to use it, they want you to promote it, they want you have to come along and have the product ready for them to deal, so they don't need to give you an advance. So it doesn't take a year to make if you've already made it.
Yeah, and but as artists you might be in a more powerful position because there is that expectation, you handle that stuff yourself. Next slide. You've got to realise that when you sign a record contract, the label own your product. It's theirs when you sign it. And of course you can produce your album, and then just because you produce your album, it can't be, okay, I've done my album now, I've fulfilled the contract. They then decide whether they want to accept or reject the album. The worst thing I've ever seen happen is that they accept it and then shelve it. So they accept your album, so thank you very much, and they sit on it, and it never ever goes to the market. What they say is, well, the time isn't right, the gap that we thought that was there a year ago isn't there anymore, and for an artist that's quite painful because you put all your kind of energy and creativity into producing this product that never ever goes to the market. Then in a contract you'll have these things called options. It's a bad word because it's not an option, it's completely one-sided. It's not an option for you, the artist. So what will happen is, let's just jump down, so let's talk about duration, product delivery. So you might get a record label that says, okay, we want you to deliver one album, and then we want an option on album 2, album 3, album 4. Okay, so you delivered your first album, and it did all right. Then they'll say, well, okay, we want to enforce our option now. So you can't walk away because they've got this option. So it's not an option for you to walk away, it's an option for them. They can drop you that option. So it's very, very one-sided. But obviously you can see the point of it, that if the artist has done particularly well, the label want to ensure that they've still got you in their camps. First time I saw one of these things, I naively went in and tried to negotiate our way out of an option because I thought it was a mutually kind of a two-sided thing. It's not at all. The only people that really earn money in this game are the managers. The lawyers definitely earn the money. I mean, if you think your manager, you're going to be giving 15 to 20%. Now, what the manager will do is, what bad managers will do, I was too decent, is they'll say, all that recoupable stuff, we talked about recoupables, all the stuff that have to come back, forget about those. My 20% is on the total. The recoupables are your problem. So this is the manager always gets paid. I suppose more ethically minded managers may take a different view. And also there may be agents involved, booking agents. I tell you, a group of people who used to earn a fortune, I don't know, they're little pluggers. So the record label, wanted to get your stuff played on Radio 1, and they would have, and actually there aren't many of them, or good pluggers. In my day, there were sort of 3 or 4 in London that did the job, but those guys got paid. Those guys got paid a hell of a lot of money to get your track on the radio. So clearly you've got to think about as well what kind of relationship you're striking up with your manager. Has anyone got a manager here? Anyone? Yeah?
Yeah.
How did you find him or her?
He actually came and found us. He heard about us. They came down to gig one night and
yeah. And what was your main kind of motivation for going with this guy?
Anyway, it took quite a while. I took a few gigs and built up a relationship before we sort of sat down and said, listen, I really want to manage you guys and do this properly. And so we literally got to know the guy, and just so that I think really helps the band if there's someone there that's passionate about what you do as you are. And that really helps because you're just basically a stranger and they want to be band.
But it is a vital relationship.
Yeah.
It really, really is a key relationship. And sometimes the relationships break down. I think, getting to know the person, the individual, is really quite crucial. Yeah. And do they believe in what you're doing? And I think the best managers are the ones that have been with you on the journey and actually have invested some of their own time in actually seeing you through that journey to the, to the point where you're doing well.